They're saying the 2026 COLA is confirmed, and that word can cost you real money. This affects your Social Security check, your Medicare costs, and your monthly plan. In this video, you'll learn what's real, what's rumor, and what changes actually matter. Stay to the end because one small detail most people miss can make your check look wrong, even when nothing is wrong. If you want a calm voice in a noisy world, subscribe and stay close. I'll help you spot the tricks, avoid the traps, and protect your next deposit. You don't need to argue online or guess what's true. You just need a clear plan you can use right away. Before we touch any numbers, I want you to feel safe here. You are not behind, and you are not foolish if the COLA talk has you worried. The system is confusing on purpose, and the internet makes it worse by turning guesses into breaking news. My job today is to slow everything down and walk with you step by step, the way you'd want someone to do for your parent or grandparent. Let's start with what COLA is, because once you truly get that, the rumors lose their power. COLA is a cost of living adjustment, and it's meant to help your benefit keep up when prices rise. It is not a bonus, and it is not a gift. It's a formula-driven adjustment that follows inflation measures, and it shows up in your benefit math in a very specific way. Now here's what has changed, and what has not, in the talk you're hearing. What's changed is the volume and the confidence of the claims you're seeing on social media, in forwarded texts, and in flashy videos. What has not changed is the basic idea that COLA is tied to inflation and announced through official channels, not by rumors, and if anyone tells you a precise COLA number before it's officially released for that year, they are guessing, even if they sound certain. Also, just confirmed is often a sales phrase, not a fact phrase. It's used to make you act fast, click fast, and share fast. When you move fast, you skip the one thing that protects you: verification. Keep that in mind every time you see a bold headline, especially if it pushes fear like your checks will be cut or the increase is cancelled. Here is the first open loop I want you to hold on to, because we'll come back to it. There's one small detail most people miss that can make your January check look disappointing, even when your gross benefit did go up. People think COLA is broken, or that someone stole the increase, when really it's that one small detail doing exactly what it always does. I'll show you how to spot it and how to plan around it, so you don't get blindsided. So what's real right now about 2026 COLA talk changing? Real is that inflation can cool down or heat up, and that changes how big the adjustment is from year to year. Real is that your personal costs can rise faster than the official inflation measure, which makes the adjustment feel too small even if it's mathematically correct. Real is also that there are always proposals and political arguments about how COLA should be calculated, but proposals are not the same as changes that actually happen. What's not real is the idea that someone secretly changes COLA in the middle of the year and your checks suddenly drop. What's not real is the idea that you must pay a fee, sign up, or unlock your COLA. What's not real is any message that says you must confirm your information by text, email, or a link to keep your benefits. And what's not real is caller ID, because scammers can make it look like any number they want. Have you seen a post that promises an exact COLA percent, a new bonus, or a surprise payment if you just check your status right now? Did it make you feel rushed, nervous, or like you might miss out if you wait? Would you tell me in the comments what it claimed so we can break it down together? Let's walk through the basic timeline, because this alone clears up a lot of confusion. COLA is based on inflation data over a set period, and then an official announcement is made for the adjustment that will apply to future payments. That means the decision is not made randomly on a Tuesday afternoon. It also means that the adjustment is not personalized to your household, your town, or your grocery bill, even though those things matter deeply to you. Now, when your benefit changes, you'll usually see it in the communication you receive about your benefits, and you'll see it in the pattern of your deposits. If you use direct deposit, you can compare one month to another to see the difference. If you receive mail notices, keep them in one safe folder, because they are often the simplest proof when you need to call and ask a question. And if you do call, you call back using an official number you already trust, not a number that texted you first. Let's talk about why the 2026 COLA talk feels different. Many families are dealing with higher housing costs, higher insurance costs, and higher medical costs, even when the headline inflation number calms down. So people are more sensitive to any hint that their checks might not keep up. That fear is understandable, and it makes people easier to scare and easier to trick, especially with words like confirmed, final, and approved. Here's another open loop, said a different way. There is a tiny part of the process that doesn't feel like inflation at all, but it can eat up the increase you expected to feel. When you know what it is, you'll stop blaming yourself and stop panicking. You'll also spot scam calls faster, because scammers love people who are stressed and uncertain. We'll come back to this shortly. Now let's do 2 quick examples with easy math, so the idea becomes real in your hands. Imagine your monthly Social Security benefit is $1,800 before the new adjustment. If the COLA were 2% in a given year, that would be about $36 more per month, because 1,800 times 0.02 equals 36. That would take your gross benefit to about $1,936 a month before any deductions. Here's the second example, with a couple and a slightly different percent. Imagine one spouse receives $2,200 and the other receives $1,600. If a COLA were 3% in a given year, $2,200 would rise by about $66, and $1,600 would rise by about $48, because 2,200 times 0.03 is 66 and 1,600 times 0.03 is 48. Together, that's about $114 more per month in gross benefits for the household. Now, I said gross on purpose, because gross is what the formula touches first. Your net check, the amount you actually see deposited, can be lower than what you expect for reasons that are normal. That leads us toward the small detail most people miss. But first, we need one more building block. What can change your net check even when your benefit goes up? Medicare premiums, optional tax withholding, and other deductions can all change what lands in your account. Here's a myth versus truth moment, because this one causes a lot of anger and confusion. The myth is that COLA is chosen like a random raise, and someone can decide to be generous one year and stingy the next. The truth is that it follows a set method tied to inflation measures, and the result can be bigger or smaller based on what inflation did in that measuring window. Another myth is that COLA is designed to match what retirees actually spend most on, like medical costs, and the truth is that many retirees feel their costs rise faster than the measure used. If your check rises but your costs rise faster, you might feel like you got no increase at all. That does not mean you're crazy, and it does not mean you're bad at money. It means the measure used for the adjustment may not match your real life, especially if you pay a lot out of pocket for healthcare, help family members, or live in a high-cost area. This is also why you should be careful with anyone promising inside info or special programs, because frustration makes people vulnerable. Did your deposit change by a smaller amount than you expected, even though you heard a bigger number being talked about? Have you ever looked at your bank deposit and wondered if the increase was taken away? Would it help you if I showed you the quickest way to compare gross benefit versus net deposit so you know what's happening? Now let's pay off that open loop and name the small detail most people miss. The adjustment applies to your benefit amount, but your net deposit can still be pulled down by deductions, especially Medicare premiums. So a person can truthfully have a higher benefit on paper and still feel like they barely moved forward in the bank. This is the number one reason people say, my COLA didn't show up, when it actually did. Let me show you how it can look with simple pretend numbers, just to make the picture clear. Suppose your gross benefit rises by $36 a month, like in our $800 example. If at the same time your Medicare premium deduction rises by $20 a month, you might only feel $16 more in your net deposit. Nothing was stolen, nothing was cancelled, and nobody took your COLA. But your net deposit feels underwhelming because the deduction rose too. And that's why the 2026 COLA talk is changing in a practical way, even if the formula itself didn't change. Families are talking less about the official percent and more about what they actually feel in their checking account after premiums and other costs. This is also why scammers love the topic, because it's emotional and personal. They'll call and say, we can get your full increase back. And then they try to get your social security number, your bank info, or a code texted to your phone. Let's make a firm safety rule together. Nobody legitimate needs you to share a one-time code to verify your benefits. Those codes are often the key that lets a stranger break into your accounts. Also, never trust caller ID because it can be faked to look official. If you get a call that scares you, hang up, breathe, and call back using an official number you already have saved or printed on official mail you already received. Now let's talk about the kinds of claims you may see about 2026 COLA changing and how to test them quickly. One claim is that COLA will switch to a totally different inflation measure immediately. The truth is that a change like that would require a formal change, and it would not happen quietly through a random voicemail. Another claim is that COLA will be paused or skipped, And the truth is that COLA is driven by the inflation data. So if inflation is very low, the adjustment can be very low, but that's not the same thing as someone taking it away. You may also hear claims that there will be a double COLA, a mid-year COLA, or a special COLA to make up for past years. Be cautious with those because they are often mixed with real frustrations but used to push fake certainty. Sometimes there are proposals talked about publicly and people repeat them as if they are already reality. A proposal is not a promise, and talk is not a deposit. Your plan should be based on what you can verify, not what gets repeated. Here's another open loop reminder from a different angle. There's a small part of your benefit life that can change the day-to-day impact of COLA more than the COLA itself. Most people focus on the headline percent and miss the quiet changes that happen around it. Once you know where to look, you'll feel calmer because you'll be able to explain your own check to yourself. And when you can explain it, you can protect it. Now we're going to shift into common mistakes because avoiding mistakes is often more powerful than chasing gains. Mistakes are normal, especially when you're busy, tired, or caring for someone else. The first mistake is treating a loud claim as a fact just because it uses strong words like confirmed or approved. Scammers and bad influencers know those words bypass your thinking brain and hit your fear brain. Your job is to slow the moment down and verify before you react. The second mistake is comparing your deposit to someone else's deposit and assuming something is wrong. Two people can have the same COLA percent and still see different net deposits because deductions and withholding can differ. Even within the same household, one spouse's net change can look larger than the other spouse's net change. When you compare without context, you create panic where there doesn't need to be any. The third mistake is forgetting that Medicare premiums and other deductions can move at the same time your benefit moves. That small detail is the one that makes people feel tricked. You might say, "My benefit went up, so why is my deposit flat?" And the answer is often sitting in the deduction line. If you only look at the deposit number, you're missing half the story. The fourth mistake is ignoring tax withholding until it surprises you. Some people choose to have taxes withheld from Social Security, and others don't. If your withholding changes, or if your total income changes because of a pension, part-time work, or required withdrawals, your net can feel different even if the benefit rose. This is not a reason to panic, but it is a reason to plan with care and, if needed, ask a trusted tax professional questions early, not at the last second. The fifth mistake is clicking links or calling back the number that contacted you first. Even if the message looks official, you don't know where it truly came from. A safe habit is to treat every unexpected message about money as suspicious until proven otherwise. And remember, a stranger does not need remote access to your phone or computer to fix a benefit problem. If anyone asks you to install something, that's a huge red flag. Have you or someone you love ever gotten a call saying your benefits were flagged, paused, or in danger, and you had to act right now? Did they ask you to confirm personal info or read a code from your phone? Would you like a short script you can say out loud to end those calls fast and safely? Now let's talk about 3 if this is you situations, because your next best step depends on your life. If this is you and you live on Social Security as your main income, you need stability more than anything. Your focus should be on understanding your gross benefit, your deductions, and your net deposit, so no rumor can shake you. You also want a small cushion plan, even if it's modest, because small surprises feel huge on a fixed income. If this is you and you're helping a parent, you have a different job. Your job is to reduce confusion and reduce risk, not to chase every headline. That means organizing mail, keeping a list of official contact numbers in a safe place, and setting a rule that no one changes banking information based on a phone call. It also means talking gently about scams, because shame is what keeps people silent after a close call. If this is you and you still work part-time, your situation can be a little trickier. Your overall income can affect taxes and sometimes other costs, and it can change how you experience a COLA. That doesn't mean you should stop working if work helps you, but it means you should plan for the net result, not the headline result. And it means you should verify changes calmly because your pay stubs and your benefit lines can interact in ways that don't feel obvious. Now let's bring this back to what's real and what's not, in a way you can use. Real is what shows up on official benefit communications and matches your deposit pattern over time. Real is what you can confirm by reading your benefit amount before and after the adjustment and comparing it to the net deposit after deductions. Not real is a screenshot with no context, a voice message claiming urgency, or a promise of a special program that requires your personal details right now. Let's do one more practical, calming example, because this helps many families feel in control. Imagine a widow receives $1,650 per month in gross benefits, and an adjustment increases her gross benefit by about $33 in a year when the adjustment is around 2%. If her Medicare deduction rises by about $25 at the same time, she feels only about $8 more in her net deposit. She might think the increase didn't happen, but when she looks at gross versus deduction, the story makes sense. And here's the protective part. Once you understand this, you stop falling for the most common scam script. The scam script says, your increase was withheld, but we can restore it. And then they push you to verify your identity with personal info. When you already know how to check gross benefit and deductions, you can say, no thank you, I'll verify through official channels, and end the call. Knowledge is not just comfort here, it's protection. Have you checked the difference between your gross benefit amount and your net deposit lately, just to be sure you know what deductions are coming out? If you had to explain your last deposit change to a family member, could you do it without guessing? Would you feel better if you set a quick monthly habit to check one thing so no rumor can shake you? Now, let's talk about that phrase, COLA talk is changing, because there is one more real shift happening in how people talk about it. People used to focus on what percent is it, and now more people are asking, what does it do to my life after bills? That's a smarter question. The adjustment can be a help, but it is not a full shield from rising costs, especially if your biggest costs rise faster than the measure used. So the best plan is not just to wait for the adjustment, but to build a few small controls you can use all year. This is where we move into a do this today plan, and it's not about paperwork panic. First, pick one place where you keep benefit letters and important mail and make it the only place. Second, write down your current gross benefit amount and your current net deposit amount, so you have a baseline you trust. Third, write down your main deductions, especially Medicare and any tax withholding, because those are often the reason your net change feels smaller than expected. Next, set a rule for your household. No one changes direct deposit information based on an incoming call, text, or email. If a change is ever needed, you do it only after you have verified through official channels you already trust, and ideally with a family member present if you want that support. Also, if someone pressures you to act today, treat that as a warning sign, because real systems do not need you to panic to stay enrolled. You are allowed to slow down and verify. Now here's another small, often missed detail, said in a new way, because it matters that much. Many people track their money by looking only at what arrives in the bank, but the bank shows you the ending, not the story. The story is in the benefit amount, the deductions, and sometimes the timing of deposits around weekends and holidays. When you track the story, you can tell the difference between a normal change and a real problem. Let's recap the what's real and what's not in your mind, calmly. Real is that COLA is tied to inflation measures and follows a process that is not changed by online rumors. Real is that your net deposit may not rise as much as you hope if deductions rise too. Real is that proposals and arguments happen often, but you plan based on verified changes, not talk. Not real is urgency messages that demand personal info, codes, or clicks. You also learned the core protection, compare gross benefit to net deposit, and check deductions. That's the small detail most people miss, and it's the detail scammers count on you not understanding. If you take only one thing from this video, take that. It turns anxiety into clarity, and clarity is what keeps you safe. Do you want me to make a follow-up video that walks through a pretend benefit letter line by line, so you can see exactly where the increase shows up and where deductions can hide it? Would you rather see an example for a single retiree, a couple, or someone on a survivor benefit? Which situation matches you best right now? Here's my final warning, and I'm saying it with care. The next wave of confirmed COLA messages will not just be wrong, it will be designed to rush you into a mistake. Protect your identity like it's cash, because to a scammer, it is. Never share a code, never trust caller ID, never click an unknown link, and never let a stranger pressure you into verifying your benefits on the spot. And here's the hopeful line I want you to hold on to. You have more control than the headlines want you to believe. When you know where to look, you can verify your benefit changes, understand your deductions, and make calm choices that protect your home and your health. You don't need to be an expert to be safe. You just need a steady routine and the confidence to slow things down. Will you take 30 seconds today to write down your gross benefit, your net deposit, and one official number you trust, so you're ready the next time a confirmed message tries to scare you?